live. Are we live? Hello? Check it. Are we good?
We're good. We're not in the YouTube yarda.
We're in the YouTube yarda? Okay, I gotta get into the scene. Wait up, Alfred Rosie. Let me get into it. Yeah, we're right here live, homie. Let me tell you about this vato. Pull up that video, Holmes. No, that vato ain't about nothing, Holmes. You know, I'm all that. No, I'm a dropout, homie. It's all right. I stabbed the vato like this, homie. And, you know, he ran from me. And we're going to be talking about other vatos and what's best for them. But my life, yeah, I live in an apartment. I'm all right. I'm trying to survive. You know, I'm on EBT, you know. Government's trying to take care of me. But you know what? I still got my baby mamas behind me. She got her carta. We're getting feria out of her other baby's daddy. So that's how we're paying some of the bills. You know, I'm just trying to survive, you know. But this is the YouTube yarda. I had to get into the scene, dog, you know. Every time I look at it or tune into it, it's like, oh my God, freaking grown man, homie. Córtate la güey. What the heck, dog, you know? They would just want to talk some bullcrap stories about other men, how they are supposed to live their life, but yet their life is all jacked up, you know?
That's right.
Anyways, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Rockin Chicano show. Finally, the homegirl's here.
What's
you
up?
know,
What's up,
she came down all the way from Reno. She was out there for a while. Her vato didn't want to let her go. he was madly in love with her. Like, hey, mija, you could dance with me right here, like you do with the swami. You know, that's not right. I want you to stay over here. You could dance for me. I'll film you. Screw Rockin Chicano. He ain't no film, vato. He's a bootlegger. I seen this YouTube yarda. He ain't about nothing.
This guy's too much. Yeah, no. I was in Reno. I had to take care of some business. Got to see my kids, my grandkids, and that, you know, make sure my kids were good and that. And came back to LA, and then I got sick. It's like the weather difference, I don't know. Got that COVID. But you know what? I'm better now.
Coughing up her lungs, all my Leahs. She was shaking, she was breaking, and you know, like, oh my God, you know, pobre Ruca, you know, she's been through so much.
Oh my
you know,
goodness.
God, you ain't lying about that. If it's not one thing, it's another. It's like, damn.
but hey, glad you're back, homie.
Yeah, I'm
You
back.
know, I'm happy that you're back, and I know we started out late. You know, Alfred is over there, you know, trying to save the world and
Golly, bro.
And,
People jumping off of buildings and stuff. Golly, bro. Que ice, que viene ice, que viene. Golly, calm down. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
yeah. So
It's okay.
that's at least we're here. We'll make about an hour or so. You know what I mean? We'll talk
Yeah.
about what's taking place. We'll talk about Rosie's love life.
Golly.
Leave it alone. Ain't no love life. I ain't looking for love.
We clown her all the time, you know. We were outside all that time, you guys, talking to my homegirl. What happened to homeboy? And what happened to homegirl? Did he piece it up? Did she drop out? Is she still good? He ain't good? You know? I know he snitched, but you just still tell him I said Cuba, homie. You know, it's a trip because, you know, but regardless of the matter, you know, they still, you know, you have it all in the barrios, you know. You have it all. I don't care what neighborhood you're from, but they have the right to live, you know, and live their own life or whatever, you know. Yeah, sometimes you bump into people that, you know, they went the other way or whatever the case might be. Still, hey, Cuba, what's up? I mean, you know, and go about your business, you know. You know, but a lot of times people stay away for what, you know, for what they've done, what they've created for themselves, you know, and it's still, you know, and you grew up with people, you know, when you were a kid, and hey, God bless you, and that's it. But we were out there talking to my homegirl because they're real good friends and just bringing back some good memories, you know. But now we're here, Rose.
I know.
What's up, homie? Talk now, homie. Jump on this YouTube yarda, homie. Call whoever you want to call out, homie.
Hey, if you guys want to talk to Rose, dial 714-464-0747. There you go.
Yeah, talk to Rose, you know what I mean? Go ahead, Rose. Talk about how you had the fierro like this, dog. You were scraping it in the ground.
Hey,
You tied
check
up
it
your
out.
hand with the other homegirl like this, and you were just going like this, like the Michael Jackson video.
Don't make me laugh. You're going to make me cough. I'm
You're right
turning
there
that off.
scraping the fierro, getting the last filorazo on the
We're
ground.
gonna
like,
do this.
Come on, homie. Right here, I set your guts, homie. You're gonna meet your maker right now, homie. Santa Fe Springs Swami Rifa. God damn. I just rolling out now.
Oh my God, this guy is
Speaking
too
of the
much.
swap meet, people I still think they're boycotting it, right? Somewhat.
I don't know. I went, 3 weeks ago?
And there was a gang of fights.
That's how it was. Everybody was
Everybody's
fighting.
just been hostile in the last few days.
Yes.
I do know that that East Side Story show, there was about 3-4 guantazos there, you know?
Yeah, I went to it, and it
You
was a
seen it?
trip. Yeah, there were so many different ones, and there's one that I seen in that shouldn't had never took place in that over because he said, she said, and that
Yeah.
you know that was not the time or the place. You got kids, you got innocent people in that, and
Yeah.
right, you gonna play that. You want to play the streets and that, run your mouth and that. All
I-
right, it's all good, but not there. But
Yeah.
hey, to happen, you got stomped down, but then you're gonna turn around and talk to the cops about it. It's like,
I mean, you want to play rough, but then all of a sudden you want to turn around and point.
point
Like,
fingers
no,
on people.
Look, if you're a victim, if you're a taxpayer, whatever, you have all rights to go file claims or whatever. But if you claim to live that lifestyle, then live by the rules as much as you can, you know? I mean, I love, I don't like going to them type of shows because it's too big and I already know they ain't going to have enough huras there. When you go to super shows, there's a lot of sheriffs there or PD.
Yeah.
And they're always walking around, so they could shut anything down, throw out the fire right away. I love how the promoters and some of the people spoke on the behalf of the event. Stating that it was not this individual's fault and it was too much alcohol, but check yourselves because this is a family event. I love how the promoters right away, spoke on it,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that next year it doesn't get like that, but, you just got to have more security.
Yeah, but then too, you go to have fun and that, pay this money to get in, to have a good time and that, just because somebody gets drunk or felt disrespected or whatever the situation was, and then it turns out to all this
Yeah.
nonsense. It shouldn't
does.
have, it shouldn't have went there or not.
We're live on Facebook, Tamien, and Daniel says, Benavides says, F the IRS.
Well, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I owe him feria, but oh man,
Golly.
he's claiming my taxes. Oh man, dog. But it is true, you know what I mean? The IRS ain't nothing joke
No,
to
it's
be
not.
messing with. Adrian B, saludos. That's another thing about his show, N-Dub's show on back in the days, right?
Yep, back in the days.
There was an incident there, and I told the vato, you know what I mean? I went when I was going live or whatever, and there was an incident. He took flight on another individual, and I said, hey, Holmes, take that crap outside. Holmes, take it to the back. There's a big old facility, but see, it sucks because them individuals don't know how much is being put out to do the events for our raza, for our community.
Yes.
And then right away they want to mess it up and, sabotage something that it's for us to come out, for us to really have a protest, a stomping ground, especially with the people out there in the stage talking about immigration and talking about borders and talking about what ICE is doing, that's a statement. And people can care less because they're be under the influence and want to start a fight,
Yes.
And it's like, man, you know what? There's plenty of room back there. Go squabble it out. Go get down and come back and talk, homie. Whatever the case might be. But people don't look at it that way. They don't
No, I
look
mean,
at
back in the
the big
days,
picture.
you handle your business that, hey, whoever wins, whatever, you got up, get up, and keep doing you. But you know what? People these days that I've noticed in that, like at the Pomona one, I mean, it just reacts it. Okay, people want to see who's fighting and this that. Everybody's getting trampled, beers thrown all over, and you don't know who they with. So those people are getting in, and their people's
Yeah.
get. It was just a big old mess.
Yeah. It's hard. And what's a place and time for everything? Adrian B
Yes.
said that. It is. It is.
Yes.
I didn't. I'm gonna be honest. End up, I was a little frustrated. I was a little mad, homie. And I was able to speak to a couple people because you're the homeboy. That's your event. It's only right that we try to turn off the fire right away, homie. And that way there'd be no incident, no pedo jumping off. And it did. It ended up real quick, like in a heartbeat. And thank God nothing else happened. It was a good show for the back in the day. It was an excellent show. No big issues, besides the wind.
Hmm.
The wind was kind of strong, but it died down and it was real good. And it's only right that we come together as a community, as Raza, and really try to turn off the fire for any issues or any nonsense. And of
Yes.
course, you're always going to have your knuckleheads. Wherever they're selling alcohol and Volo and all that, they always got that little chip on their shoulder. Um, that's the difference between on the venues, you
Yeah.
know, wherever you're at, how much you pay, how much you put down, is how fast the security could be there to shut it
Yeah.
down.
Right. They didn't really have that many security, because you got all these buildings, nice cars, people trying to have a good time
Yeah.
and that. But you get one knucklehead in that and gonna blow everything. My concern is all these little kids, all nice cars, everything. These people went out of their way to make this big event for all of us to have fun out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
earlier that day, I was in Hawaiian Gardens. That event was nice.
It was.
That
The
one.
reason why I would have to back up Hawaiian Gardens is because in Hawaiian Gardens they don't play.
Yeah, no, but
They-
it was
they
a
don't
good
play.
turnout. They had a good turnout.
Anybody were to trip or whatever, right away it would be dealt with. The sheriffs are there.
And this
The
one,
sheriffs are right there. And supposedly there was a rumor that ICE was supposed to be there.
oh, is that right?
Yeah. So when I spoke with the sheriffs there, they're like, yeah, we got the front doors. They're not going to come in here.
Okay.
This is a family
okay.
event.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, damn, you said it, homie? Like, yeah, you know what? This is our community. I work here. My family's from here. I was like, oh, damn, and it was real feedback. And that's a blessing to know that gente do still care,
Yes.
and regardless what's taking whatever's taking place, is still gonna look out for them as much as they can.
That's good. That's good. But yeah, no, that was a good turnout.
It was
And,
real good turnout.
and went to the Pomona. And all that happened. So we ended up jamming from there. We went to Bellflower. We went for that cruise. And there was a big fight there too.
In the video.
So
I see the video. I was like, oh my God, and I was like, whoa, man, hopefully we could have some peace. Right now, it's not the time to be able to have differences like that, because of what's taking place right now,
yeah,
But I heard the National Guard got withdrawn, so they're gonna pull them out.
that's
You
good.
know, That's good. That's a good sign. You know, La Mira's still gonna be here. Speaking of Mira, I went to TJ yesterday. You know, and seen homies out there, and everybody was asking what was happening in LA. I go, what's happening, homie? And they're like, what do you got, homies? We're like, what's your theory? I said, oh, I ain't got no theory, homie. He goes, you ain't got nothing? I'm like, okay, I do, homie. I could pack everything up in about 6-7 days, homie, and I'll be back here in Mexico. He goes, dang it, do you know how many people been saying that? Because they work right there at the mercados. And the mercados are super empty because they get the people from crossing the border from San Diego, from the States, to go over there and go shop. And it's been dead lately. They've been taking big hits. You know, they had to come out of the savings.
Wow.
So, but that's the people that are doing business. The regular people, they don't care about us. They don't ask about nothing. They don't ask, hey, how's it going out there? They don't ask about nothing, you know. And it's like, I get it. They got their own lives that they're dealing with, so it's irrelevant. So, but I do know that el homie Sacra from Los Originales de San Juan, or where's he from? Releros? One of those things. I got deported. He's in TJ.
What?
Yeah, he was a millionaire. I got deported. He says, oh, they're going to go get my visa. He said he got deported the day of the MacArthur Park. And I should have asked because he's right there in TJ, you know. But see, I didn't get a chance to see it until later, you know. Anyways, Daniel says, get a boxing ring for the homie so that you can get down. Simon.
Let's go.
Yeah, I agree, homie, 1,000%. You know, but regardless of the matter, what do you think, Rose, about was taking place with Crazy Trump?
Oh God. Hey, what was that one where he said he's not going to deport his wife?
Yeah.
I seen that. It's like, what? She's not even from here, but he's not going to get her.
They're talking about putting value on him. Like, wow, you know, they had like 40 million they offered for him. Like, what, really? Like, what the heck? Are you crazy? But I think that's just a rumor, you know. If anybody's gonna take care of him, it's gonna be God. You know, he's the only one. You know, you gotta respect that he is who he is. You know, and God put him there for a reason. You know, shake things up, build up faith in people. You know, they say that vato that died at the raid of the marijuana farm. You know, first of all, it's a farm. What kind of farm? Marijuana farm, you know. They said there was children there, 16, 15, I don't know. They ain't got no papeles. They're out there working. They get his hustle on. Man, I've been working since I was 8, homie. So it don't matter, you know. My kids been working since they were little too, you know. So if they're getting their hustle on, then, you know, it's up to them, to the parents. And, you know, I believe in the state of California, legally it's 12 to 13 years old that you can start working. Of course, with the consent, you know.
Yeah, the parent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as long as they're not in school, summer break or any kind of break, you know, or weekend. I'm pretty sure that's what I read not too long ago. And the vato that passed away, he fell 3 stories.
Oh my.
And he passed away. But the story is that they tased him up there and he fell. I believe it.
Yeah.
And the vato that witnessed it, right away, he got a one-way ticket to Tijuana.
Oh, of course.
You know, I would have been like, wait a minute, let's talk business, get a hold of the familia. And why are you just going to get deported? He's probably scared too, you know, but, you know, it sucks. And, you know, what's taking place, and just be vigilant, be trucha, you know. They would jam me up, you know, if they would ask, because I seen them pull people over at the Greyhound bus station and ask for their papers. or their birth certificates or whatever the case might be, you know. And it's like, man, you're gonna ask me, homie, take off your freaking mask at least, homie. Be a man. You know, I'm not gonna record you like that, homie. Just ask me. I said, you know, I ain't gonna tell you nothing, homie, until you take off. Oh, I can't do that. Well, I can't tell you neither, homie. Where you're going, well, let's go, homie. Let me call on my lawyer first so we could file the lawsuit right now, though. You know, but what's taking place is a little hard. Do you got to worry about it, Rose?
No. No, I was born and raised here. No, I don't have to.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, from the last rumor is that you ain't even Mexican.
Golly.
Oh, you know what? I'm white Caucasian, I guess. I don't know.
Yo, food.
It's like, yeah. No, born and raised. My parents are born and raised here, so.
Yeah.
They said that you weren't even Mexican, homie. Ain't even Mexican, eh?
Okay.
That's crazy. All the rumors they have about
Hey,
you.
no, check this out. One time I was up in Reno, and of course got busted, whatever. Hey, but they put me when they booked me in. I was blonde, 150 pounds, white Caucasian. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you're looking at. I guess
150 pounds, fool?
Not even being wet with clothes, I don't weight that. But no, serious. I got paperwork to show that they booked me in there. They go, well, what do you expect? You're in Nevada. Either you're white or you're black.
That's it. That's true.
Man, you barely weigh 100 pounds with wear clothes, homie.
Add a 10 pound on that one because it's 110.
110.
It's a 110.
Crazy. Daniel says, I'm still waiting for eyes. Never seen them.
Ice?
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
out
man.
there.
I you know what? I only seen it through groups, man. Through some groups, people out there. But I personally haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. I don't know about you guys,
But
but
they're
undercover.
Cars.
undercover, right?
I know. I'm pretty sure. I lately, like if I see an expedition or whatever, I like try to look at it real good and see if you know.
They got the tinted
Yeah,
windows.
and they say you can see them by the little lights that they have, the little reflectors on top of the windows that reflects that light off. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just trying to avoid them as much as I can. You know.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that this guy's gonna go gung ho.
Cowboy style, no?
I have a strong feeling that
Door to door, no?
that's what I have a feeling that this is what he's gonna do.
COVID style, no? Because
Yeah,
I think that's what
right.
they did. That's what they did over in New York, right? It was like door to door. I mean, in Michigan, sorry.
Yeah.
In Michigan, door to door.
I seriously think in this last 2 years of his election or last year of his run, he's gonna be like afuera con todos.
Yeah.
You know, you know, like I'm ready for whatever. I don't sweat it. I just been prepared in my mind. And the kids, I talk to the kids over and over. Mijo, this is what we do. We have a plan ready. We have a mastermind plan ready. Anything were to happen, they start deporting all the raza. If he were to bring down the military or whatever, then we're ready. You know, I don't trip on it. Whatever. Wherever God puts us, and he puts us there, you know.
That's it.
You know, we could, like the homeboy, I was talking to the homeboy from Classic Oldies. He's all like, screw all that, homie. You know, me and you and your familia and my familia, we've been in the car shows for many years. He goes, we've been in the car show many years. I got the same plan as you because we were talking, right? And guess what, homie? I go, what? We're going to be doing car shows in Mexico. That's where I'm going to see you at, too, in the car shows out there, too, homie.
What city? Oaxaca, homie. Not kidding, joking. I'm joking, man. I'm joking.
And he goes, I'm going to see you out there in the car shows también, homie. I'm going to take my car out there. He goes, I got everything ready to haul everything out, homes, you know.
Well, in Guadalajara, bro, there's a lot of good car. There's actually a car show out in Guadalajara that has, you know, it's almost like here. They're all souped up, all lowriders, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Lisa said, I've seen them. Lisa Barrios. Right, Lisa. What did you do? Did you protest? Did you bring out your phone at least, homie? Nah, this is cloudy, no.
Hey,
I know who you are, Venido.
I know.
Hey, what do you think about what's going on with Junior?
Whoa. That's a good topic.
Oh, man.
No, serious. I mean,
everybody's been speaking on it because the charges are out.
Yeah.
You know, he was our old,
Past tense.
yeah, he was our old associate, business partner, whatever you want to call him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's all right. You know, he came out the closet and all that. That's his business. That's his pedo.
Hey, to each his
We
own.
to each his own. We don't hate him. You know, I disagree the way everything went down, and I explained that to his manager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no, he shouldn't have gone down like this. You shouldn't have done this with them. You shouldn't have done that with them because Junior's cool. He's had his little issues. He has little run-ins, and you know, and a lot of times he got distracted, which I believe he could have gone forward.
He should have.
He should have gone forward. And the last that I heard, he had his only fan page or something. And, you know, and it's like you can't mix this entertainment and that entertainment. You got to stick with one. He's a cool dude, cool little dude. And I'm gonna say this, Rose, why I still respect him. You know, that incident that took place in Long Beach. We were prepared. We were ready. This guy walked me all the way back to my car. I say, homies, this is a serio pedo, homies. You never been involved in this. Let me go get the ranfla and get everything ready. And he says, nah, if they're going to shoot you, they're going to shoot me too. So that, I was like, damn, this little youngster had some heart, you know?
Yeah.
And I respected him, you know, regardless if he came out the closet. I wish he would have notified us before expressing himself or what he was going to do. You know, that way, if that was the case, then we would have like, okay, stay your lane, homie.
Yeah.
You know, stay your lane. Do you, dog. We don't hate you, dog, but do you.
Yeah.
I can't cross the Chicano world, the Cholo world, to get an approval when you were going to go rainbow. You don't need my approval to go rainbow, dog.
No.
You don't need an approval for the Chicanos to say, oh, yeah, go do that's feed, man. We got your back. Because look at Trino and Adam. They didn't ask nobody's approval. They're homosexuals.
Well, yeah. I mean,
They don't.
that's how they started.
Yeah, and that's-
they've always been.
They've always been, and that's
Straight up.
how you respect people even more
Yes.
like that. You know, now, if that's the way they dress like Cholo and all that, then that was fine. Now, for him going all out and doing this, I wish I would have known. And you know what, homie? Do you, Carnal? Do you, homie? And that's feed me.
Well, at the beginning, you seen, I mean, you know, with the overalls, the little bow ties and that, you know, that's the way he dressed. Okay, that's cool. But then after, he just flipped the screen, and it's like, now you're a homeboy? You know, the way he was dressing and
The
everything.
tacas and everything. And they all asked me, hey, homie, did you know he was I'm like, no, dog, but there was some signs there, homie, you know, but I go, understand, homies, I don't hate him, dog. He's,
Yeah.
yeah, but he shouldn't have used the homie like that. He shouldn't have talked to you, you know what I mean, and got on film. Like, it shoulda, coulda, woulda, homies. It's none of my business, dog. It's done and over with.
Yeah.
And he's doing time now, you know, so it's like, man, you know, you know what, Rose, between me and you, you know, we've never talked about this subject.
Yeah, no, never.
We've never talked about it, but I just feel bad for the homie.
I do too.
You know, and it's like, oh man,
He had
Carnal,
his
you
moments.
made wrong choices, dog. You know, and it's like now he's busted. If you guys don't know, he's busted. You know, and I think he's looking at some good time now. This is where it kind of throws me off. The manager was recording in front of CCB.
Mm-hmm.
So CCB and federal court are two different cases. Now, allegedly, they got him for throwing rocks or salt into a federal agent.
Mm-hmm.
A federal agent mandatory, homie, with a big boulder like that, you're looking at 45 years. About 4 years to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
A jura is less, okay? A hura, you're gonna be looking at about 2 to 3 years, 2 to 4 years. You're gonna get that. Most likely, you'll probably get probation if he ain't got a record, because he ain't got a record.
As far as I know.
Yeah, he don't got a record. You're looking at probation, level 1, level 2, maybe. About 2 to 4 years. Federal assault, they could even push it to 9 years.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
So if it is a federal agent, this is my guess. He's probably gonna pull about between 4 to 6 years.
I mean, I understand, he went out there with protesting and that, but, all that throw rocks and this and
And
that.
they got him on
And
camera
recording.
like he like this. He's like chucking it,
Oh, yeah, they're recording. You got your face all out there in the media on that. And then you're going to do this, hey, they're going to find out. So, that's what happened. He got caught up with that.
He got caught, and it's like, man, I read a comment that said, now you're going to have to put your costume to work.
Golly.
Hey,
Which is true, and it sucks. I hope that they're doing a fundraiser for him or something, you just got to be careful. You can't be live on social media or have your mug everywhere and then participate on a clash like that.
yeah, I mean, he could have been out there, for the raza and everything, protesting. But all this, and you're filming, and especially when he's holding the flag on top of that burning car.
Yeah, and then that picture where he's throwing it.
Yes.
Man, homie, at least wear a freaking mask. Or go around the corner, change your whole clothes, and come back and do whatever you want to do, I'm not encouraging nobody to do that, but that's how you think as a criminal. I was an ex-criminal. I was an ex-convict, and you would have to change your clothes after you did the armed robbery.
Well,
Why you going to go sit there, man?
So true.
Man, you guys, we used to go do hollers. This is a scenario. Man, we have different clothes on. I'll put fake tattoos on my face,
And then, too, back in then, you weren't all over the media.
You weren't all over the media. So if you get busted, clean up your face. What? He had a big old
Shave
teardrop
it.
right here. He had a spider web right here. It was just so big, I remember. Because he would have to go like this with the gun, like sideways. Look at the taka.
Especially with the hands.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? But, I'm not encouraging anybody to go do that while you're protesting, but you should at least have common sense. If you were a criminal, you would think of a plan, but, he's all wide open and he has the rocks throwing, like, oh, man. Everybody's free to do whatever they want. You have free will, do know that a rock hitting the vehicle, you're going to be looking about 4 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Between there, but you're gonna do tiempo about 4 to 6 years.
Well, that's assault. What there?
That's assault on a federal agent. That's even harder. The Jura's less, like I mentioned, it's less, but there's no bail for him. I think there's no bail.
Truthfully, I really don't know.
I think there's no bail, and
there's no bail.
poor Junior. You know what I mean? He's just he's stuck now.
He got caught up.
He's gonna go to the Pinta now. Now he could definitely wear the Charlie Brown when he gets out. He could rock it. You ain't gotta get my approval, homie. You put in work now. You put in time, dog. You ain't gotta get Rockin Chicano's approval, homie. You could wear the Stacey Adams, the baby cuss, whatever. You could even have a big mustache like mine's all brocha down, like ya de tiempo, homie. As long as you don't talk about, hey, I know how to do Folsom karate. Bing. Daniel Benavides is like, you cold, cold-blooded.
I'm just saying, Hey,
Right, Daniel? You cold-blooded. It's an inside joke. Only the people that have been around know what that means.
Yeah.
But long as, you know what I mean, just now you're going to be able to sport your ropa. You don't got to get nobody's approval, But
But look where you're going to have to
yeah.
be to wear that. I don't know. I don't wish nobody nothing like that. But you know what? If you're going to go out and do something, you know what? Hey, don't be all over the media and then go do something, and that's going to come back and bite you in the butt. And that's what happened to him. I mean,
Dennis said Bob Barker's. That's true. It's sad, and he's now. And the manager's like, I can't talk about the case. Talk about the damn case. Homie, it don't matter, dog. It's all going to come out, homie.
why he just worried about because he ain't going to have Junior no more.
Poor Jazz, man. And much love and respect to you, Jesse. Much love and respect to you, too, Junior. That everything turns out good for you guys, and
I say for Junior, hey, you know what? I hope the best for the kid. But you know what? You're letting your manager film you and putting you on blast out there, and now look what happened. Where's your manager at now?
Go bail him out, fool.
He ain't my man.
Go fund me.
He ain't my man.
Yeah,
He better tell his man.
yeah, that's hard, you know what I mean? But we wish him the best, and
Yes.
may
the best,
may God see him through, and he's going through some changes, and can I tell you my theory? Can I?
Go for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I really don't care, you know what I mean?
I'm going to say it anyway, right?
I think
Yeah.
that's a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why it's a punishment.
It is. What you do to others.
I think that it's a punishment. They're going to say, oh, well, I'm going to tell you why. When you have a sin, when you live that lifestyle, that's you.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with somebody else. That's your sin. But the day that they brought the mom involved in that camera to get the approval that she didn't know, how dare you cross paths and bring the mom in front of the camera and bring exposure
To his
and
family.
to hear the story and humiliate the mom like that, then God's going to step in and I'll make justice because, see, the mom has a good intention. The mom has a good heart.
Yes.
But she'll support her son as much as she can.
Of course.
You don't mock nobody's mom, That's like me grabbing my mom. Here, mom, throw out an arc. Here's a gun and point it at the camera, that's foolishness.
Yeah. I met his mom,
Yeah.
She was a nice person, and his father was nice. I mean, his mom couldn't speak English, so
Yeah, and
they translate, but
she
seemed
looked
like a
real
very
humble,
nice-
and
Yes.
that's one thing you don't do is drag the mom into a group setting of their sexual preferences.
Yeah.
Of, oh, did you know, suegra? Did you know? That has nothing to do with your sin.
Hey, but when he's calling her like she's a dog.
Yeah, that's just me, you guys. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. That's just me, Raza. When you have something like that, you don't bring nobody else along with it because that's your sin. You run with that bad boy. That's you. If you have a drug addiction, you don't sit there and give the people to your mom, here, hold this. Does it smell good? You want to try it, mom, or whatever the case might be. I'm just speaking out like that, You don't involve nobody.
Nope.
Because that's your sin. You're trying to figure yourself out. The issue's between you and God. That's it. Nobody else, And right away when I seen that video, I said, oh, man, estos vatos, why, dog? Why would you bring the jefita along, And I was hurt,
Yes.
I was mad. I was a little bit disappointed, you know what I mean? But to me, I think, okay, you're going to do that? After she gave life to you and you're going to express there and try to bring her up into this conversation where she's already dealing with her other kids.
Yeah.
Now I have to deal with you, and you try. To me, this is me, Rose. I looked at it like a humiliation.
It was. To me, that's how I
So
seen that.
you're going to do that in camera? Now I'm going to make sure you get caught up in camera. Ay, wait. So when I pulled back and I looked at all this, I said, wow. And the first thing that came to mind was like, why would God do that? Well, brought out the mom, and it hit me. Camera? Okay, pues tú también en camera. And they got him cold-blooded with the rock like this. You know, like, you're going to humiliate this mother that I really love, really sacrifice, you know, for your social media posts or whatever the case might be. Wow. You know, I could never cross nobody like that.
No.
You know, people that ask me, Rose, they're like, oh, you just trying to get clout. You trying to get clout. Let me tell you this. No. The difference between right and wrong, I don't care about the clout. I don't care about the fans. If it's right, then I got to do what is right.
There you go.
I got to stand up for what is right. If I end up losing all the followers and all that, hey, I ain't tripping. Hey, you know what? Easy come, easy go. But what is right is right. I got to go help out somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I got to speak up, you know?
And that's true.
And people would be like, you know, oh, you just doing this for clout. No, I'm not. Hey, why don't you go do something? Yeah. You know, what is it that you're doing for our people?
But even in the video, you know, when they came out that way and that, he looked confused. Junior really looked confused. It's like, I don't know if I should go there or what.
He did, you know, and it's like, but still, he should have put his foot down. He should have said, Charlie,
but
hey, you know what?
A little boy.
Yeah, this is my jefa. I can't, whatever I desire, that's me. And, you know, even if it's just for clowning, clowning, you don't bring your jefita along.
Nope.
And the first thing, Rose, I swear, I told my son, because my son told me, he goes, Dad, did you know that Junior got busted? Like, what? Yeah, and this and that, and like, and it hit me. I go, man, God made an example out of him. You know, now you could really be on camera. You want to be famous? Now I'm gonna get you on camera. I'm like, oh man, but it's gonna come with the price. It's gonna they're gonna break him off some good time.
Especially if the dude never did time and that. This is his first rodeo. Well,
I hope he gets probation, which I doubt it, because they're gonna make an example out of people, just like the vato that was throwing the rocks.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
they were gonna make an example out of him.
Yeah, the one was throwing it at their cars and
yeah, they're gonna make an example out of him. The vato that discharged the Fusca at Oxnard, they're gonna make an example out of him. Yeah. Oh, they're gonna make sure they make an example. You know, you just gotta be careful. You know, but I wouldn't have done that. You know.
Nope.
Yeah, I would have never brought my jefita and all that. So that's the first thing that hit me. What do you think, Alfred, was... It made sense, huh?
Well, what you guys are talking about is something that we've kind of seen this back and forth, right? I mean, I think there's a big saying where for every action, there's a reaction, right? So if we do something negatively towards somebody, it's kind of like when you say 2 wrongs don't make a right. So if I'm doing something and in your heart, you're thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to do it to harm somebody. You know, that's already a wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're doing it in a sense where, hey, you know your intentions in the heart, meaning like I'm out there to do it to hurt somebody. Mm-hmm. That's another wrong right there. So see, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So I always tell people, especially the youngsters out there, listen, don't get emotional. You know, I always say this, you know, I always say that, you know, this fight here is for the long haul.
Yeah.
You know, it's all an attack on the mind. I think I've seen this so many times. Rodney King, how many times we've seen this all the time?
Yeah.
You know, how many times some of us get caught up with all the political nonsense and we're always saying, well, this is what's going to happen again. No, don't we see this all the time? I don't know if you guys see this in the news cycle, right? It's happening. First is the black community. Then is the Asians that got attacked by the black community. It's a constant revolving door. We see this all the time. So I'm always telling the young people out there, listen, you always have to do. I really like what the president of Mexico said in regards to the tariffs. 30%, right? Trump sent a letter and said, I'm going to go ahead and tax you guys 30%, right? And she says, we need to handle this with what? Cool heads. You know, at the end of the day, listen, we need to handle as a community. We need to come in here and really come up and come in with cool heads, because at the end of the day, this is what the intent it is, right? I always see this. How many of us don't look at the news? And I'm constantly seeing the news and it's the same thing. It's either about ICE. It's about poor child, poor this. But listen, guys, this is something that's been happening for years. You know, nowadays it gets amplified because of social media.
Yeah.
And the intentions of other people that are doing this. So what do we need to do, man? we really need to hold our people, our politicians, those that have the last names, Hernandez, Gutierrez, whatever it is, we need to hold them accountable because these are the people that you voted for. So therefore, we need to come in and bring in a strategy, start doing the town halls, start bringing in, like I told N-Dub last time he was here, I said, bro, it's enough is enough. I mean, till when are we going to continue to keep on seeing this thing roll out? And we're seeing this, coming at us at full speed, trying to take us over.
Yeah.
But bro, it's every 10 years. I mean, think about it. Every 20 years, we're seeing riots.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just really look at the history here. So I am always out there telling young people, hey, calm down. At the end of the day, look, let's start talking, having these discussions with people. Let's start having these open town halls with our politicians. How come I don't see no town halls by Democrats or the Republicans that are against this, right? I mean, I just saw, what was it, 12 Republicans here in the California legislature that sent a letter to Trump saying, hey, we don't like the way this is doing. Forget that. He's already on the path to do this. Yeah. So why don't we just come together with all the Democrats and Republicans, and let's start educating the community now.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. So anyhow, the reason why I'm saying this is because this is something that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Was it did Junior need to do that? Wow. I mean, again, wow. For the glamour and the camera, there you go. Yeah. Look at the outcome. I mean, think about it. Young people, young guy, right? Jumping in here, I don't know, 5 years, is it really worth it, bro?
Nope.
Instead of you really just saying, you know what, bro? I'm going to use who I am, my persona, who I stand for, and I'm going to start getting together with our communities. I like what Anthony does, man. He goes out there, shows up on city council, and he's let them know, like, this is what we need. This is he's in the community. He's a community leader. This is what we need, man. So I know I'm getting a little irate, but it gets me upset that we're constantly doing this.
Yep.
We're constantly having the discussion, Anthony, of people like the would have, should have, would have, would have, should have, would have, and look, they're all caught up. Now they're locked up. No need.
Yeah.
No need. So yeah, that's my thought, man.
No, it's true, Alfred. It's true what you said. It's unfortunate what Junior's going through.
Golly.
And bringing all this together into this Hale was taking place, and it's true. It's up to us to determine. That's why I've always encouraged you guys. Like, get caught up with the city.
Yeah.
Know what's taking place. Know what your city council. Know who's doing what. Your state senate. It does take time of you. It's okay. But a la hora de la hora, you know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a ticket because I parked the truck by the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Man, I grabbed that mother sucker, homie, and I just went up there like, you know what I mean? Let me speak to your boss. Oh, well, you need to fill out the paper. I'm like, and I looked to the side and I seen the public safety, ex-public safety, and the city manager. What's up, you guys? And they're like, oh, hey, what's up, Anthony? How you doing, man? Look, man, your people right here just gave me this ticket, homie. Where can I declare it? Where can I just go speak up to it so it just disappears, homie? You know what I mean? Like, he goes, well, there's a procedure. To heck with the procedure, homie. The only thing that I disagree is my family was in the house. You could have rattled the cage. You could have pressed the doorbell, whatever you guys might have done. If it was in my driveway, notify the people, notify the residents. Obviously, the truck is right there. Now, the reason why I have it is because the street is so narrow, so small. Yeah. They've hit my other cars, Yeah. I don't want them to hit my $75,000 truck, Yeah. I go up a little bit on the sidewalk, but I won't do it no more. I'll put the cone out there, but let me fight it. And they're like, okay. Then sure enough, the representative from the public safety comes out and like, oh yeah, I go, let me tell you who I am. Let me tell you about all your bosses that I've dealt with, And I just start naming them all, what projects I've done with the city. And And sure enough, one of the employees comes out. He goes, "Oh, Anthony, what's up?" Yeah, the only time you see my face, I'm about to raise hell. And she just shakes her head. Oh, let me go get the paperwork, you know?
I'll help you fill it up for you. There you go. That's what, see?
And then they come. I grab the paperwork. I filed it right there and then. And they waited for me. That's it. And about 5 days later, they discontinued the ticket.
Yeah.
You know, but it's, you got to know the gente.
That's right.
You know, and then right away I seen the city manager and city public safety and everyone like, hey, what's up, Anthony? Are you happy with the outcome? Oh, heck yeah, I'm happy with the outcome, man. You know what I mean? We do so much for this communities.
Right.
You know, we do so much, and it's like you got to know these gente.
Right.
Now, what's taking place right now, homie, you know, it's gacho.
Mm-hmm.
But now you hear about Senate this, Congressman that, and their last time we're fighting. Well, pump your brakes, homie. I've never seen you guys before. You know, I've never seen you guys put stuff up for the raza or whatever the case might be, you know. I would like to see you guys more, not just for this time, you know, from now on. You know, it sucks, but, you know, it is true what you said. Yeah, Alfred. Get caught up, get involved, know how to do it, you know? Go fight with them. Go raise hell, homie. You know?
I wonder, Anthony, if we can use these platforms to really, like, somebody told me, like, hey, bro, the reason why I don't go to the city because I don't understand what they're talking about. And I don't understand what propositions and how does it affect. See, the thing is, when you're there and you're validating, you're asking questions, bro. Yeah. They're not going to look at you like, bro, aren't you dumb? No, bro, this is your community. That's why we have city council. I mean, but how many of us, well, I don't got time, bro. They, you know, they take 3 hours. And I'm like, it's part of understanding. This is your community. It's only one time every Tuesdays or Thursdays. I don't know Norwalk, but here is Tuesdays
over there.
Yeah, Tuesdays. And here is Tuesdays and sometimes every other Thursday.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, you're asking questions about these problems. The city is gonna invest, you know, $3 million out of your taxes for a project.
Yeah.
What is in detail? How is it gonna affect the community? How is it gonna affect the traffic? You know, ask these questions.
And then you could also ask about what can they do for the immigration laws right now.
Exactly.
You know, I know Karen Bass is giving back finances, which is cool, but you know, I've never been a big fan of Karen Bass and the governor. What's his name?
Governor Newsom.
I haven't been a big fan of them, dog, because they don't want to clean up LA. They just want to sue the city of Norwalk and sue the cities because you don't agree with what we want you to do and open up these homeless encampments here and there. And like, I disagree with all that, bro. You know, I've never been a big fan, but how she came down to MacArthur Park and Gavin Newsom is suing Trump and going heads up with all of them. That's having cojones, homie. Yeah. About time he throws some pump up your chest, fool, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, whoa, that's when we really need them, you know?
Right.
A lot of people would disagree. Oh, they're hindering the process of immigration, this and that. Like if it's a big thing, first and foremost, homie, it's a civil case, dog. They're not criminals. If you're a criminal, then that's a different story. But this is civil, dog. It's a misdemeanor, homie. It's an infraction, homie. That's what it is, an infraction. You know what an infraction is? It's nothing. It's like driving on almost like a suspended license. Not a suspended license, but turning a light on red. It's a light infraction, you know? It's not heavy, homie, you know? You're not a criminal. You know, so are you a criminal because you took the red light when you weren't supposed to? You're a criminal. You're not a criminal, dog. You know, that's why they take you to these small courts, homie, you know? Not superior court. What is it called?
Federal courts?
No, what's it called? A court before federal, before
Supreme. I mean, is it municipal court?
Yes. Municipal court.
Yes.
That's why it's nothing. But of course, if you let it go, it turns into a warrant and you already got so many tickets. And, eventually it builds up, and they'll be saying, oh, well, they're hindering this and that. Like, okay, look, homie, is it really about the raza, dog? Is it really about them taking all these gente out there, dog? Is it really that they're going to be effective by all this papaya? First and foremost, homie, we always, always, always must understand, homie, that the dollar bill has a white man in there, dog. It's a white man system. Well, what do you mean, Anthony? Look, Holmes, this is for all the megas, all the raza that supports Trump and all that, and all these vatos that want to support the immigration and all that. Listen, that's why they got reservations, Indian reservations. They've had concentration camps. They did the chinos like that. To us, in 100 years, this is the third time. They're going to keep on doing it. The more they do it, the more they hold us down, okay? They want to be the capital. And there will always be the capital if we don't get our acts together, homie. Yes, that's part of your city. That's part of the, get rid of your drinking pisto after Holly, your scratchers and all that. Vamos a mirar el fútbol. Vamos a ir a los Dodgers. And another thing, homie, the Dodgers are using the heck out of the raza, homie. Throw those damn jerseys away. Oh, that's blasphemy, homie. How can you speak like that?
Hey, what's going on there? Who's wearing the Dodgers over there?
Let me explain something to you, okay? Oops. You might say that, it wasn't them that threw out Chavez Ravine. Okay, let's go back to the city council and city manager that did that. That's Friedman. But to be investing the feria into these private prisons in order for you to make finances when the raza made you millions, then that's wrong, homie. That's wrong. I don't care if you root for them. I don't care if you love them or whatever. Hey, Owens, I ain't going to be a fan no more, dog. I could care less. Because just like they care less about us, I could care less about them, homie. Yeah. Every time I go down there, homie, and we go out there to do the toy drives or whatever the case might be, you see the ball players, homie. Every ball player. And what do you see? A gavacha with them. A gavacha. A bimbo jaina. And there goes the wife, you know what I mean? And there goes him in a Porsche and whatever. And it's like, damn, you know what I mean? Well, let's get another Mexican, put him out there to pitch the ball so we can sell the tickets and get more people out here and get everybody all fired up, homie. Like, man, it's just the cycle. It's a cycle, homie.
But I think, Anthony, it comes back to the same thing as we've been talking, right? I think for the most part, listen, I am not a fan. Everybody that says fan of politics, you have them on both sides, bro. I always say this. You got one bird with two wings, okay? But when it comes down to politics, it's very dicey, bro. Yeah. It's very dicey because it all comes down to really, I'm not a fan of any of the parties, and at the same time, I'm also doing my investigations. For example, perfect example, okay? You talked about Karen Bass. Listen, Karen Bass, did you guys know this is the mayor of Los Angeles, okay? Remember her and Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, came out and said, we're going to remove the red tape so everybody can start building. Yeah. So we can, don't worry about the reservoirs, right? Don't worry about what happened. We're going to just do our part. We're going to remove the red tape. Up to this point, there's only 14% of the whole Palisades that have permits.
Yeah.
There's only, you know how many houses have been approved for build?
Yeah.
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's when I come in and I said, all right, let's evaluate what's going on here.
Yeah.
Who's in charge, who's in control. She said, they both were on camera saying they were going to remove the red tape to help these people to build. Now, listen, you might say, well, that's Pacific Palisades, the most richest. Doesn't matter. It matters about being part of a community where it doesn't matter our color, skin color. Let's all. If we're going to treat everybody, call a spade, and we're going to help one another, then let's do what we're going to have to do. Let's work on the homelessness. Let's work on these communities. Let's do what we're going to do.
I always believed that for the poor man, the Democrats are going to try to help you.
Yeah.
But the Republicans themselves, they're going to tell you that the way it is. They're gonna spit it the way it is, homie. You know, it sucks. Both politicians, both parties are just political, homie.
No,
And
100%.
it sucks. Now that's true. They said, as for us, the poor man, the Democrat will always dangle something in front of us, make us believe. And the Republican will be like, here, give me your dollar. Here, pasa. It's mine now. You know? So, like homeboy told me one time.
Straightforward.
Yeah. Like a homeboy told me when I recorded him, he's like, pick your poison.
Yeah.
You know, and it
True.
sucks. You know what I mean? But us, we could make a difference. Now, back to what I was saying about Gavin Newsom and Bass and putting protection upon immigration and whatever the case might be, you know, they might, people will look at it different, look at it wrong, and this and that. And, you know, to the nitty gritty, dog, it's about money, how they want to run it, and always keep us down. We're growing, homie. I don't know if you noticed this, you guys. I'm from Norwalk, okay? My grandma used to tell me about the raids. My mom used to tell me about the migra. They would always tell me, and never did I think that they will come to pass, right?
Bro, what they used to tell me was La Llorona and La Migra. So
La
think about
Migra.
it, bro. I mean, at 3-4 years old,
Yeah.
this is what they're scared. Hey, don't go outside because the migra's out there. And you're like, what the heck is the, you know, and then
Or
later
córrele.
on. Yeah, o córrele. Yeah,
Córrele,
exactly.
la migra, la
Cuando
migra.
miras eso,
And it was a
córrele.
joke, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed this,
Yeah.
Rose, Alfred, in the last 20 years, there are pasas all over now, homie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's food stands all over, Mexican restaurants all over. And back in the days before 9/11, you would just have an ID. I remember on parole.
Yeah.
I'd be like American citizen. I was on parole. Of course, I was sneaking back people in the trunk. You know what I mean? I was involved in some negativity, you know?
Yeah.
I was doing stupid stuff back
He was
then.
involved in capitalism. I mean, no, I'm making sure they grow.
And
Growing his business.
I was just doing dumb stuff, but it was easier. But now we have so many
Yes.
raza here, and I'm from Norwalk, bro. I remember when there was a lot of white people there in the 70s,
Yeah.
and now they're gone.
Yeah, bro.
So you figure, okay, the government has to think of something. They got to shut down everything for them to keep the population white, to keep the business the way that they're going, homie. And you have to remember that. And you know why they do that, homies? Because we're dumb enough to follow the plan, dog.
Yep.
We're so dumb. We don't want to get an education. We don't want to go over there and read. Like they said, the best thing to do is always write it in a book, because the black man and the Mexican will never read it. You know?
But
They'll never
Anthony-
read it.
Anthony, back in the 70s, I remember this is during the time where I think Lyndon B. Johnson,
Yeah.
if you remember back then, just think for a second. And you guys can research this. I was shocked. And the reason why I was shocked is because back then, the black communities have their own banks.
Yeah.
They had their own finances. They had their own black street, what is it called? The street,
Wall Street.
The Wall Street. It was made by communities.
Yeah.
It was backed by the black people. Something happened back in the 70s that the government,
Yeah.
thought that was dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like they started creating these, laws and all these things
Yeah.
that affected the black community and the
They
family.
start tearing it down.
Tearing it down. Yep.
And I think in Philadelphia, they burned it down, and it's
Yeah.
like, all these things taking place, and you have to remember it's going to do it again.
Yep.
So I told my kids, I go, mijo, my grandma used to tell me these things. I seriously didn't believe it. Mijo, you tell your grandkids what your dad used to tell you. What my my grandma used to tell me to tell my grandkids. You make sure you tell your grandkids that this story never gets forgotten, and let them know how the system goes. Now, we're not racist, homie. If you're white, you're white. You're black, you're black. You're brown, that's speed, man. But when they want to control this whole system and keep it that way, homie, and to chop us down, that's kind of gacho. But it's not their fault. It's our fault, homie. It's our fault. We should have been prepared. We should have been ready. We should have had a gang of lawyers ready. We should have had a mastermind ready to defeat any superior judges. We should have had more raza as superior federal judges out there, homie, and really push to not be sold out, homie.
That's right.
I believe those judges have been bought out, homie. I truly do believe that they've been bought out, because I know they can't be that cold-blooded, homie. I know they can't be coming out with all these ideas, ship them out to third world countries and to go do all this. I know. I'm pretty sure they're not that cold-blooded, but they probably got caught up in some kind of scandal that they don't want to release it out to the public. Maybe some blackmail. I don't know, homie. But it should have been up to us, our raza, to start building things up. So the next time around, we'll be way more prepared.
100%.
And I know they're going to say, well, you could take that back to Mexico. Man, homie, we could go back and forth. This was the United States. This was Mexico. This was this. This is now, homie.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They're not breaking the law like that, homie. It's a civil matter, homie. It's civil, dog. Go to court. Go handle it. Go do this thing the right way. That's feed me. Regardless if they would have done everything the right way, the way the Gabacho was thinking, he's still going to deport him. So it don't matter if you got papers or don't got papers. He would come out with the theory of no, they're brown skin, get them out of here. I don't want them. They could go back to their country, And we go back to our country. I get it.
But what would happen? So let me ask you a question. And this is just, again, this is a good discussion because a lot of people need to have open discussions. And I'm not a conspiracy theory because somebody's gonna say, bro, Alfred is conspiracy. No, ask a questions. What would happen, bro? Back in the 70s, I mean, think about it. Back in the 70s, we had approximately about 100,000 people, immigrants that were allowed to come here and work in the fields.
Yeah.
Think in the 70s, that's what Cesar Chavez was fighting for.
Yeah.
If you really pay attention he became a little, I don't know if you noticed in the beginning, I was reading about this and I'm like, Chavez was for illegal immigration. In the beginning, he wasn't for it. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is because he was so focused on the people that we had here. There was a high demand for labor. That's why they created the UF. If you pay attention, the UF, the UW, the United Workers Union. The reason why they got it is because it was coming together from everybody that was becoming legal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they needed to strategize, grow, which he did. And in the beginning, he was against it. Yeah. Not only because it affects everywhere you go. Think about it. I always read this and listen. I am not for and I am not against. Please, I would myself was an illegal immigrant. Okay, so I can relate and I can understand. But at the same token, we need to understand the reason why they're working that way. They think that way.
Let me ask Rose. Rose, he said 70s. I'll throw you another bud. I don't care, homie. This is YouTube Yarda, homie. Rose, right or wrong, was there a lot of gabachos in the 70s?
Yeah, but where I lived at, no.
Yeah. But like Downey, homeboy said Downey.
Bellflower.
Southgate used to have white people.
Yeah.
Even Compton used to have white people.
Certain parts.
Yeah, certain parts, like towards the Rancho area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Norwalk had white people, but little by little they start vanishing out. But I do remember as a kid in the 70s, my uncles were all brown and proud, Chicano power, all that influence from the brown berets and all that, and you would see the fisk, you would see the huelga bird,
the eagle.
You would see all that, and I think now is the perfect time to start bringing all that awareness. Right, Rose? What do you think when you were younger? What's the difference that you've seen from back then to now with our raza?
Wow, I mean, Back then, I don't know. I wasn't all there.
That was not
Yeah,
on there.
fool. But there wasn't that many
Well, but yeah, but
paisas.
no, there wasn't. There
I
wasn't.
remember that.
I mean, growing
Yeah.
up where I grew up, what the South Central, you know, it was just blacks and Mexicans, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
So
Chicanos.
That's all it was.
I remember the paisas were small.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
They were small, and they wouldn't be the music bumping. You wouldn't hear in the car.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
You wouldn't hear that like
Their
cruising
houses.
at their houses only, the backyards. Now you hear them thumping, bumping, and I remember that towards the 80s, the late 80s. They start bumping all this when the quebradita started in the early 90s, and they're like, the music was like, man, these guys are having heart now. Now they're bumping and taking that out on the calle, you know, and now they had got them on trucks, and now it's all cartel music or whatever the case you want to do. But
Yeah.
it was not as fashion as it is now, you
Yeah, in
know?
the 70s, no, it's just, I don't know. I remember going to school, and that was a white school. They were prejudiced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, principal, everybody threw us in jail.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just different, but I do know that it wasn't like that before.
No, it
You know?
wasn't.
You didn't see the taco stands everywhere. You see them here and there, but not like now.
Nah,
You know?
before, you went to go look for one because you couldn't,
You couldn't
find
find one. Elote man, you couldn't see them.
No.
Yeah.
You know, about
But
the
a
only
smell.
the only one was the little ice cream cart
Mm-hmm.
that you would see him.
Yes.
You know, churro man, you really wouldn't see him. You know, it was just different. Even when you went to LA, you're like, they'll be like, they're probably saying, "Oh, you're from Norwalk." They didn't have nothing out there. They did. They had raza. And
Oh, they
you know,
did? Yeah.
you know the bad thing about Norwalk, Alfred Rose,
Mm-hmm.
that if you would try to buy property and you were raza, they would try to shove you into the one ways or into the barrio, the 160s or the one ways. Like this is, they would offer it to you. This is your community. And I remember people telling me, and my grandma, like, I ain't gonna live there. I don't want to buy a house there. I want to buy a house next to the white people. And sure enough, she would buy a house next to the white people, and they would hate her.
Oh,
they would
yes.
hate my family.
Yes.
They would hate my family, you know? But my family at the same time, they weren't the type to bump all the music like that because
Yeah,
my
respect.
uncles were
It wasn't
cholos.
like that.
Yeah.
They'll bump rock, they'll bump oldies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But to their mind is like, nah, they're brown. They're doing legal activity. Sure enough, they raided the house and did all kinds of stuff, and they didn't like us, you know. And all the neighbors were white. You know, I love going down there because it wasn't in the one ways. We lived in the one ways, lived in the cars, we lived in the parks, and it was like, man, you know. But eventually, all those houses now belong to Raza now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that don't mean that we haven't earned it, you know.
Right.
But at the same token, as a community, we always got to come together to make a
100%.
difference. Because whether they're paisas or not, the white man looks at us like Mexican, you know. I follow this guy at times called Nino American. His name is Nino American. That fool, man, he talks all Texas. Like, I didn't tell you, boy. And that fool looks straight Oaxaqueño. I go, homie, you're darker than my tanates, homie. You ain't got to throw the raza under the bus like that, dog. You know, which is true. You ain't. Look, Holmes, I get it. You're American, maybe second, third generation. I get that part, homie. But to the nitty gritty, homie, they'll wrap you up, homie, and put you in a concentration camp like they did the Japanese. Well, I'm third, fourth, fifth generation. Hey, your eyes are slanted, homie. They slop down on the front, homie. You're going in, dog.
You're in.
You know, and your last name's Wang. Shh,
You're in.
Aratos.
You're
You're
in.
going in, homie, you know? And it don't matter how much of American that you think you are, homie, you know? That's just facts, homie, you know? And it's sad, homies, you know? We got to come together as community, you know, and really defend what it is ours, homie, you know, and try to make a good living, try to make a good life, dog, because, you know, rules and regulations are always going to change, homie, and you have to be ready. Now, they'll ask me, what do you think what's going to happen next? I believe he's going to try to deport us all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you why. If he's willing to break the Constitution like that, Don, if he's willing to break all those laws on me, didn't he just threaten Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah.
I withdraw your birth citizen. Even she said, with all these people, all these judges, who knows what he can do? He's crazy, you know? If he's willing to do all that, homie, what do they call him? Mussolini?
Yeah. What is it?
Trump Mussolini?
Trump Salini?
Trump Mussolini, that's what he called him, you know? And it's like, if he's willing to break all these laws, he's probably willing to do that, you know?
But overall, I think with the Rosie O'Donnell situation, I think it's a love and hate between them. Think about it. They're both from New York. You know, they grew up together practically. And who's been the biggest outspoken against Trump?
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell. So that's even when he was campaigning. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You know, when he said some dumb thing. But the truth of the matter is these people know each other. Yeah. They have this love and hate relationship.
That's true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But where the line is drawn is the rejection of the
birthright. Yes.
So she said she even slowed down at that because he's probably willing to do it. She don't care anymore. But the thing is that as crazy as he is, homie, he's crazy enough to deport us all, dog. Well, so if your last name Gonzalez and you've been here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 generations, and your last name is Gonzalez, Hernandez, Abundis, Garcia, Tapia.
Golly.
You're gonzos, homie, if he wants to do it that way, dog, you know?
No, I think what he's going to do, bro, and this is just me personally, this is just my opinion, and again, I'm not a political guy or anything. I just do a lot of reading. I like to read because the reality, man, this is something that we've been pushing here. Yeah. Our community needs to stay cool, educate, because I think the biggest weapon that we have is education. Think about it. If you're educated, you know, and you understand about law and you understand what's going out there, and you're happy to know, you understand what's happening out there, man, you're worth a lot, because a lot of people are out there seeking to find, you know, answers and you know, and research and things like that. But I think he's in this path where he thinks that, hey, I'm going to do everything I can as long as, you know, I'm not breaking the Constitution. The birthright citizenship, if you really pay attention to what's going on with it, the reality, I mean, he can't do anything because, you know, it's got to go through the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The Supreme
but if
Court,
anything, it's going to be on the red states.
It will.
But from what he can push it to.
Right.
The other thing I don't like, homie, is the alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that. You're disrespecting us like that, you know?
Yeah.
And Raza don't see that, Holmes, you know? That's a disrespect. I don't care if you think you're from Texas. I don't care if you think that you're American, homie. In reality, Holmes, to do that to mankind, that's wrong, homie. If you don't have the facilities, you should have built the facilities. If that was your plan, then get a process, dog. Go through the process. Go through the system. Well, I ain't got time to go deport all these people. Obama did it.
Well, I think he invested what, $4 million for $3 million. He did $3 million to.
Oh, but what about the babies? What about? Look, it's a crime, dog. We get it. Whenever there's a crime, dog, and they get separated, eventually you're gonna have to separate the kids. You're gonna have to separate the families. You know, it's like a crime. You committed a crime, and then they separate you. You know, they separated me, my brother, and my mom one time. She was shoplifting. Now, if it does come down to that, then, hey, if they want to go with the mom or the mom wants to take them, then they have all rights to go wherever they want to. You know, you have to really look at everything and get down to the nitty gritty to understand what's taking place. Obama did it. Oh, the kids in the cages. Yeah, homie. But they have to figure some certain things out. It sucks, homie. Well, you know, I believe, homie, this is me, Alfred.
Yeah.
That if and indeed the parent does get busted, homie, they have the right to claim the kid. You're going to get deported. Now, this is where it gets hard, homie. Let's go with the kids that were left behind when they took them in at the farm. And that 15-year-old went down there and he had 2 more siblings to go look for the mom, and they had gaffled up the mom. I believe as a parent, I would call up the kids and take them with me. I would not leave them there by themselves. If there's somebody responsible, an older cousin, an uncle, and they want to take the initiative to be the guardian parent, then sign the rights to the kids for the new guardian parents.
Right.
But as a parent, I would take my kids with me, dog. I wouldn't leave them here. But it gets tricky with that, homie,
Well, did you guys know? And again, this is just me reading again because I look at both sides and I'm looking at what's going on. So listen, I know that there was a huge ordeal down in Ventura and Camarillo with the farm, right? I understand that there was a raid. I showed up. That's when the guy fell that you mentioned that he fell 30 feet, and hurt himself. Right. But that's because of the situation, the ordeal, what happened because ICE acting. Right. It's for every action, there's a reaction. Right. Yeah. So now one of the things that I was reading and I'm reading on both sides, on both left and right, because you got to look at everything. Yeah. I always look at, okay, what does the left or what does the right say? And what do they spew or what are they trying to relate to the community? And that's when it comes. It comes to me where it gets me a little boiled up because the right says that, they were there trying to serve a raid on a farm which was known or has some sort of information that there was 14, teenagers or kids, minors, unaccompanied. There's nobody who can account for them. Yeah. So they were there serving this. Now, when I start reading this, and I'm like, oh man, that's not what I saw from the other side. From the other side, the other side says raid. There was a raid, raiding families and blah blah. But then I start doing. I'm reading, and I'm like, well, who are these 14 kids without family? Without the parents? Can it be one of them? One of the families that were in there, unaccounted. Yeah. After they grabbed whoever they grabbed. Nobody wants to claim the kids. What are we doing with kids working at a farm? Yeah. Unaccompanied. Not knowing who they are. If my children, right, Anthony, if your children, your kids are out working on a farm, you don't even know about them. There's nobody who can claim for them. Wouldn't that be a red flag for people? Yeah, of course. Like, wouldn't not only will that put, like, as a parent, knowing that my kid is working at a farm, what parent would even put their kids through a situation that way? Thinking that where's their kids? Where are the parents? That's what I asked. So as I'm reading all this stuff, I'm like, why don't they say that? Yeah. Like both left and right. Yeah. Like we always been saying here, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah. So they found the 14 kids. Yeah. And of course they raided it. They found families that weren't undocumented. You pay close attention, like, well, who owns this? Who owns Crystal Farm? Yeah. I start asking these questions. We got, as a community, come on, as much as it hurt us, come on now, as much as it hurts, we have to ask these questions.
I think, bro. Let me ask you this question, Rose.
Rose oh boy, get ready, Rose.
We're gonna go to the scenario.
Rose, you are the tiebreaker, Rose.
You're the tiebreaker. Okay, Rose, you're a paisa. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo está? All right, no disrespect. I love my people. This is just a clown. Don't take it personal. Yeah. Sit your behind down. It's a joke. You're a paisa. You just came over. You got 3 kids, 15, 12, and a 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. You have no legal guardians out here, and you're out there and you're working at a farm, right? You get gaffled up. What would you do, Rose?
I want my kids with me.
Vámonos.
That exactly.
And I think that the government should automatically let them go with them. It's not somebody's going to fight with them and say, oh, we're going to keep them here for United States. No. Let them go with the parents.
I'm 100%. I agree.
If you dispense out cutting people off, if you guys hear the kabooms, that's Disneyland. Okay?
It's not even booming.
It's not my panza right now, dog. I'm a little hungry, but You would take them, right, Rose?
Well, of course, but you know, a lot of people too, you know, they got gaffled up and everything. And yeah, they probably left their kids because they wanted a better life for their kids, you know.
Yeah, let them. You know,
Yeah.
I think they would have to have some kind of signature waiver
What you
Yeah.
would think.
if and indeed they're not paisas mexicanos, but they're born in the States, then they have the right, you know? Now,
100%. Now this.
if you don't want to sign it over, okay, do you got kids out there in your house and two of them are from Mexico or one of them's from Mexico, then you're going to have to claim either the two or all. You know what I mean? It's all or nothing, you know? So it gets a little hard. It's stuck, but hey, I would like to have them waved over to my cousin. Let them take care of it, but give you the option. I believe as a parent, homie, they have to take the kids with them. Just like you said, the 10, 14 kids out there in the farm.
I know.
Brother,
You know,
I mean, bro, I mean, they just think about.
Now-
Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
Dispensa, bro. Now, if you have me, myself, I could speak on this. If I'm 14, because I used to work at Wiener Schnitzel at 14, 15, at 14. And between 13, 14, and 15, and I would always lie just to get that paycheck. Is it right that I was lying? No, but I needed the finances.
Yeah.
So if an individual comes from Mexico, he's 15 years old, and he's working, it's up to those people, these farmers, to determine whether or not they're going to hire them or not. These people, now let's get this straight, okay, you guys? Marijuana farms are not the same thing as agriculture farms.
Yep.
They're not the same thing. These marijuana farms are billionaires, homie. They're almost up to the billion.
Yeah.
Because there's a group of people, over 100 millions. We've known some people that they'll go and grow the farm. Now, that
Yep.
will sell faster and more finances and less containment of mass in a box than a watermelon, than a tomato, and it's smaller. Now, do I approve of those farms? No. Do I trip on those farms? No. Most of those people that use that droga is really just to get high. Let's just keep it real. Oh, but you use it for medical use? Yeah. What's the percentage? And even that, the FDA won't even approve of it.
Right.
You know? So only a percentage. Now, if you want to get high, you want to do this, and you want to hop out, well, there's going to be some consequences, because however you put it, federal law will still don't approve of certain things.
But they do
know?
tax it.
They do tax it. So there's certain things, you know, some barriers that there is. If you cross it over to here, then you will get busted for a felony. So to the nitty gritty, it is a drug, homie. You know, I don't approve of the people working there. If it would have been a regular agriculture farm,
Yeah.
where
Tomatoes.
the
Potatoes,
huelga and all
yeah.
this, then that's a different story, you know? But it is a marijuana. You do know that that's the reason why the bulk and all that through the cartels in the United States and all that, all the hell broke loose. They made this legal in certain states so they won't have to go and cross it over, make their own finances here, dog. It's still a drug, however you want to put it, dog.
100%.
You know, there was a lot, though, when was it, a Sunday? He was all like smoking a little toke right there by my booth, and he's like, he's taking the last hit. He's all like, hey, you want some? I go, hey, you guys, look,
Little
look,
pinner.
look. And I had everybody looking.
Yeah.
I go, do that again, homie. He's all like, you want some? I'm freaking 16 years old, homie. You're gonna invite for drogas, homie. Go get some rayazos, homie. Go dip that stick, homie. Vámonos, vida loca, homie. If we're gonna hallucinate, homie, let's end up in the mental hospital, homie. Let's do this. Go walk out there in the freeway and get all locos, homie. And he's laughing like, oh, man, he's all stoned, bro. I didn't even like. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, homie, you know? And the people were laughing there, you know, which it was a joke, you know? But to the nitty gritty, it was to harvest the yesca, homie, you know?
Yeah.
Do these owners care? They can care less, because they're going to go pay off the government. They don't care, homie, you know? Was it for those 10 kids? Hey, let's get these vatos. Let's break it down. Let's get some feria out of them, and let's go get these kids. You know what I mean? And it all sucks. You know, that vato that fell.
Yeah.
They say they tased him, and he fell and he broke his neck. You know, when you're running, things are gonna happen. The government is always gonna cover it up. The Jura is always gonna cover it up. When you're in the barrio and you're running, you do know, I used to tell the homies, you do know you might get shot.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to you. You know, they know the consequences. You run, well, you're going to fall, something's going to happen. They're probably going to give you a calentada, homies, if they catch you, you know. Yeah. It sucks, homie. You know, it sucks always, however you want to paint it, homie. But I hate the fact that it was a marijuana farm, homie. You know, I would have been more mad if it was a regular tomatoes, cauliflowers, or whatever the case might be, because, you know, these vatos are making millions, dog. Millions on me. Big feria, dog.
And that's my issue, you know, with the information when it gets translated. I mean, I was looking at, like I said, I like to read stuff. I'm always looking at to read, because at the end of the day, I need to make an adequate decision. If you get, let's say I'm going to say this. If you want me to make a mental or a decision on my opinion, right? At least the least thing you can do is provide me with the correct details, the important information. I mean, I was reading stuff and it says California farm everywhere. California farm, California farm, California farm. And every single thing, in every news article I would see from left or right, whatever. And then afterwards I'm digging for information. Right? Because I'm like, well, California farm, it makes no sense. Why would they do that? Yeah. Thinking that they're out here, right? They're getting beat up here in in Los Angeles, getting it handed to them, right? Through rocks, whatever it is, fireworks, right? I mean, it makes no sense. So the more you start paying attention to the stuff, then I start reading other opinions, other places, other things, and it says crystal farm, marijuana farm. And I'm like, you know, like now I'm instead of me being more upset of what ICE is doing, right, for the raid, now I'm more upset because when you start digging for the information and details, now there's 14, now immigrants were in there, of course, that's what they're for, right? They're doing a raid, right? But now we have unaccompanied children, right? And that's when it comes to me, and I'm like, seriously, right? Couldn't the other outlets, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
I give you that.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Again,
how many kids?
14.
Do you seriously think, as an ICE agent, Homeland Security, do you seriously think they really cared about those kids?
I actually don't. No. I really don't. I honestly do not believe that they did.
They were
care.
Into it to the feria.
Of course.
For each person.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? We're going to get some bonuses here. We're going to hit about 300 people. The range is between 200 to 400, 500 people. That's big change. We could start breaking it down. That's the first thought that they had, you know? So it's true. They could word it however they want to word it. But in reality, it wasn't about the kids, homie. It's about making the feria, dog. You know?
I realistically think that it was political.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I think it's political. Because at the end of the day, you know, when you start when you start reading these things, well, guess what? Once you start, who's the owner of Crystal Farms?
I can't wait, dog, to find out one of our friends or something that he worked for ICE. I can't wait, bro.
I mean,
pinche vendido, cabrón. ¿Qué estabas pensando, baboso? I got my house. Man, they're going to take that away from you, dog, too, homie. What's wrong with you, homie? Estás vendido, güey. Who brought you up, homie? You know? Imagine. Let's paint this. Can I make a scenario?
Sure, go for it.
Imagine how he feels knowing he works for ICE. He got hired. No training, no nothing. He could have a cuete and like, I got a mortgage and this gave me a bonus and I get 1,000 watts for each paisa that I get. Imagine how he goes home. He sees his family all happy. Like, see, ama, arresté como unos 5 paisas ahora, ma, you know, eran como unos...
$5,000.
Y uno, sí, tenían una wheelchair, ma, you know what I mean? Imagine, like, how the mom looks at him, like, you know...
That's sad.
Yeah.
Your grandma had to go through the same process. Oh, they came in right. The majority of the people don't come in right.
No.
The majority of the people don't come in right, homie. You know, how would he feel, homie? You know, walk of shame. Can he look himself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? I arrested these people and I bought my house because I put away and I broke up families. You broke up families, homie, just for you to have your home?
Yeah.
For you to have your home together? You know, things like that, dog, don't go unseen, homie. You might think it's a right thing. Now, remember, this is civil. This ain't a crime, dog. I'm just doing my job. This is what the same president that's been doing all this, homie, that pardoned those other criminals. He pardoned like 8 criminals, and those fools are naughty vatos, dog. They're bad, homie, you know? The same president that dropped the bombs in Iran, the same president that threw all these people because they were boycotting Israel, homie. You know, this is the land of the free. If you want to speak up for certain things, you can.
Right.
You know?
Right.
The same president, you took those orders, but yet you have your family. You're making your paychecks, homie. You're making your mortgage payments, dog. While you tearing up them gente and dragging them, dog. I mean, I want to know how it feels, dog. Well, I live good. You live good? You're feeding me with all that, homie? Oh, the fireworks.
Fireworks! Yay!
That's loud.
I go.
Sorry, it's good. We got
So,
a condenser microphone, so they pick up everything, bro.
So it's like,
Get down, everybody.
I want to know how you feel, homie.
Yeah.
Because however, dispenser Alfred, however way you want to break it down, however you think in your mind that it's the right thing to do, homie, you're a low down, dirty freaking dog, homie. And if you could live with yourself, I'm speaking raza, homie. If you could live with yourself, homie, then handle it, dog. Ponle, homie. Pero eres un perro desgraciado, güey. I think that's worse than the dog, homie. That's worse than the dolphin, because at least the dolphin's hurting himself.
Yeah, that's true.
You're worse than a freaking dolphin, dog. And there's been some dolphins galore that I bumped into in my life, homie.
But see, Anthony, well, what you're saying, bro, see, there's people out there that are doing that. It's unfortunate. You know, it's kind of like the reality. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like, for example, Lee, man, you know, I hate getting political, man, but you brought up the conversation about Karen Bass, right? You said that Karen Bass, they were out there going after the kids playing in MacArthur Park, right? And so this is what the news tell us, Anthony. Okay, and so I'm looking, and again I look at both sides, you know, both left and right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you ended up, when you start seeing the truth of the matter is the reason why the sheriffs and ICE were at MacArthur Park was because nobody was using the park. The kids couldn't use it because of homelessness and drugs.
Yeah.
And dolphins, and they got video to prove it. So what do we do? What can we do when we're getting this media and this? I mean, I always say this: the greatest danger to a population is the media, because the way they present stuff to the population.
I go by MacArthur Park.
Yeah.
Because I do wholesale. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
True and not true.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying true and not true what you said. Okay. It's not as bad as it was.
I've seen videos.
It is
brother.
bad.
I was shocked.
No, that's nothing. Have you been to MacArthur Park area, Rose?
Yes.
How bad was it 15, 20, 30 years ago? It was horrible, dog.
I went and walked
Each
through there.
corner
Right.
was owned by a barrio. Each corner,
Yeah.
dog. Okay?
Right.
Each corner. And the stories and the gente that you see, and we knew where to pick up. We knew how to pick up big clavo. You know, of course, we'll pick up rock cocaine when we needed it, the volada, right there by 18th Street, dog. You know,
yeah.
it was horrible.
Even a taxi driver
Even
did it.
So it's not as bad as people say it was. Now, of course, fentanyl and all that, it is bad, dog. But out of 100%, it's down to 30. You know, but the way they make it seem like, oh, it was just horrible. Nah, it's not as bad as it was. It is bad. It's at 30%. You know, I expect the mayor and the governor to take care of it. Now, if they ain't going to take care of it, then, of course, let the government come in and do whatever they ever need to do, or whatever the case might be.
Anthony, we had the governor that cleaned up San Francisco for China, and he cleaned it up, and then he said, and then he came, bro. This guy came, and I'm sorry, I'm again. This is I'm not trying to get political. Everybody's gonna say, oh, you hate. No, it's just a fact. He came and publicly it told everybody in the cameras, and he said, we needed to clean up the cities because we had, a president from another country coming to. Why didn't you just clean it up?
Yeah.
Why not keep them clean? See that's what mind-boggling to me, and that's why I'm always reading, I'm always paying attention, I'm always asking Karen Bass going out there to show. The lady was there 5 minutes, literally. Yeah. When they clocked it, somebody told me, hey, you know how long she was there? 5 minutes.
She
take
said,
pictures. Take pictures. Yeah, take pictures. Said what she needed to say, and then rush out. They clocked her at 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
That's crazy.
So that's why to me, I'm always like, guy walks like the duck, talks like a duck. That's what I'm always saying. Like, it has to be a duck. Like, don't, when somebody tells me like, bro, it's a dog. No, bro, but it's got green, it's yellow. It's whacking, it's quacking, bro. So that's why I'm always telling everybody, guys, I always tell the youngsters, please don't get caught up with this nonsense.
Yeah.
You want to help, you want to help our community? The way you're going to help our community? Do it the right way. Stand there freely. Open your mind. Just be there.
Yeah.
No violence. The police cannot control. Think about this. If the youngsters, people out there that are doing these fights, doing these raids, doing burning cars and doing all these things, only if you knew, the police officers can't control what the federal government does.
Yeah, they can't. They're stuck in the middle.
Yeah. So why are you going after your police officers? These are the people that are...
That's stupid.
These are the people that are there trying to keep the community safe.
They'll verify if they're kidnappers or agents.
Exactly. So you even said it yourself. There's people out there, police officers, agencies, sheriffs that are saying like, I'm not for that.
Yeah.
If they have the information, they relay it. It gets out there. People are out there finding out. Now there's these apps where ICE is located. You go into these next door, into these ring neighborhoods. I'm giving you guys all this stuff because at the end of the day, if you're gonna find out where they're at, you find out. From threads, they're everywhere. So
I would like to record and go apply for an ICE agent.
I'll get you the number.
I want to go check it out. I want to have the camera right here. Like, yeah. So what's your thought and theory, Mr. Tabares? What is it that you want to do? I want to deport them all.
That's what I want to do. Show me the money.
Okay, Mr. Tabares here. Fill this out. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Oh, many times. But still, if Donald Trump is willing to pardon them people, he could pardon this big fat Mexican. Vámonos, homie, vida loca. I want my house too like that. I want a brand new car. Because I heard there's a bonus, sign in bonus check as soon as you enroll. Nah, puro pedo. But serio to the side.
Yeah.
Rose, I would love to sit down with an Raza ICE agent that enrolled for
listen,
that,
they're out there, bro.
If you're out there, homie, you could come with your mask. You could come in with covered up and tell us how you feel, dog. Tell us how
Are you happy?
Trust me, I won't be like Martin Lawrence in the show where he starts beating up on his guest. But I would like to ask you certain questions,
Yeah.
What's your thought and your theory? Are you numb to do this, Hale? I would like to know, because in me, deep down inside, you're worse than a freaking dope fiend. Now, is a dolphin bad, Rose? They're bad.
Yeah.
I look at you worse than a tecaton, homie. You know, I look at you even worse than this vato doing this. And I've seen some scandalous and I've heard some scandalous stories that you can't even imagine. But I think you're worse than a tecaton, you know?
Yeah.
And I would like to hear your story. Why you did. Oh, it's the law. We already know that's what you're going to say. It's the law. We got to respect the. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because the law says you're Latino. That's the law. Now, how do you make a difference between that and what you're ordered to do and what you're doing? And how do you feel about it?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I mean,
Hey, Rose, but you're gonna interview too, right?
well, yeah, I would want to know. It's like, how can you be so heartless? Pull these parents away from their kids.
How you gonna sit there? Let's role play. Screw this, homie.
Here we go.
He's right here, right? Homie, Garcia, how dare you come out here, dog? Cover up your face. Why, home? What are you scared of, dog? See, a vato that is scared is always gonna cover up his face like that.
That's
dog.
true.
That's like you committing a crime. I used to commit crimes and I used to have a ski mask.
I know.
It's not, the apple doesn't fall that far from the freaking árbol, homie. The árbol.
I mean,
know?
you never know. It could be your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's why they're covered up, because you know what? They don't want to be exposed out there.
And second of all, where'd you get that ramfla from, homie? Who installed those lights? 11th and Central? Let's go talk to them about those in 11th and Central. Who installed your lights, dog?
Golly.
I want to know who installed your lights. Where'd you get the ramfla from, homie? How do you feel about that? You know? What makes you think that you have the right to come and not even identify yourself and pull up, homie, and say, hey, hey. Oh, they won't talk like that.
No.
They'll be like, tienes papeles, tienes
Yep.
papeles.
Yep.
And some of them have even Zimbabwe accents
Imagine.
from Africa.
Imagine that.
I could hear their accent like, whoa, how dare you ask that about them, you know what I mean? But your accent is deeper than that, fool.
Wow.
I would have been like, hey, say his name's Garcia. Why you covering up your face, homie? Where you get those lights in that ramfla, dog? Where'd you get that ramfla? What's the bonus? Is it all worth the whole package for you to do it? Well, yeah, you know, I just still do it because of the law. Well, the law says that your last name is Garcia. You're Raza. So if the law says we're going to deport all Hispanics, because they said if we start now, they guarantee 65 million. So automatically that separates you, the bone and the marrow. That's it. You're separated.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't. They don't talk. You know.
So
they're all
why
covered
would
up.
you do that? Because of the money? Is it the finances that really makes you do all this? You know? But if you know the law, if you know what's taking place, why don't you turn around and help? Oh, well, they should have been citizens, this and that. Like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. We understand all that part. Let's get all that part out the way. Even if they were to be here the right way, they would still deport them because there's too many of us.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they don't understand. That there's too many of us, and they have to start getting rid of gente because they don't want their kids to become supreme judges, federal judges,
Nope.
engineers. Next, you know, we're going to start taking care of the White House.
Mhm.
The majority of the White House is white.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
MC Bree said if it was up to me, I'll paint the White House black. I'll paint it brown, homie.
But even the ones, you know, it's got colored skin and that, they act like they're white anyway.
Or married a Gavacho.
Grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up white. Oh, no. Got a lot of police officers, you know, back in the day when you got busted and that, you got the same color and that. And you're going to stand there and tell me you're the same color as I am, but you act like you white.
And lie.
Oh yeah.
And lie. Take up the stand and lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I would like to interview somebody. So if you're out there, we'd like to hear your story.
Let's go grab us
like-
one.
We'd like to hear your story. We'd like to hear your input.
And bring
Tell us what we don't see.
Yeah.
Tell us what we don't see. Explain it to us.
Yeah.
You know? Explain it to us. You can wear your mask, homie. You can wear your mask. You could wear your taser, your little paintball gun. You could you could be all militia out on me. You know? It don't matter. We'll ask you some questions, and we want to know.
Yeah.
Truly want to know.
Like to know, dog. And that'd be a good discussion.
How heartless can you be?
Well, that would be pretty good, dog. At the end of the thing, then hey, Holmes, that's feed, man. Thank you for your time, and that's it, homie.
Yeah.
Now, outside's a different story, homie. Pura cabila, homie. And don't take it personal, homie. Government, don't take it personal, homie. Cálmate, way. Be like, was it self-made? The guy.
Oh, yeah.
All tweaked out with his big old eyeballs. Cálmate. Ain't nothing serious about it. But we like to know, right, Alfred?
100%. I think for the most part, man, there's a lot of people. I know that there's a lot of Latinos or Hispanic people that are working on that, and they're spread. They're
and Alfred, I didn't cut you out. Dispensa, homie.
No.
And there's a lot of people out there. You said right now, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that your nephew's doing it, that that he's doing it. Throw the word out there.
Yeah.
Throw the word out there. Hey, mijo, there's a good podcast, and we would like to know.
Yeah.
What is it that, and we'll pick his brain, dog, because we need to know.
Yeah.
He might know something. So if your nephew, which they're going to know whether he works for ICE or not,
Of course.
let's just get his input, Let's see the other side of the coin, right, Rose?
Yes.
I would like to know that, I have the right to know, like, hey, Holmes, show us what we don't see, Show us what, what they told you to say or do, and why is it that you agree, Explain to us how you see it,
Just, and I think that's because you're seeing one side of the coin.
Yeah.
You're seeing the people, the family that are getting hurt, the immigrants that are being torn up. So and again, I'm speaking for people that could potentially see that as you're heartless. You're separating families. You're you're deporting them. Your parents, your grandparents were once an immigrant.
Yeah.
Just give us the answers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. Don't allow us to continue to inject the hatred poison, the right to give us the right to hate you for what your actions or for what you're doing. Clear it. Bring a clear mind. Why is it? What drives you? What drives?
Oh, what's next, dog?
Yes, exactly.
What's next, homie? If you know these things, what's next for us, dog?
Yeah.
Don't leave us in the loophole, don't leave us out in the cold like that. Explain to us, let us be more prepared, let us, I've been seriously thinking, because this is what I've been wanting to do, dog.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. There's videos of people, and they catch them walking out of the federal building across the street in Alameda.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Union, right there by the 101 freeway.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be like, look at this guy, look at este vendido, look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I would be doing, dog? I swear, dog. I know people are going to start doing it, but I would ask them, hey, bro, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Leave your mask on, homie. I don't care. What's next for us? What's the next step? Should we be prepared for first, second, naturalized citizens? What is it? What is it that they explain to you? And I've been wanting to just put the camera to the side. Hey, homie, look, bro, I'm born here, homie. I got felonies, dog. I've been trying to get them expunged, but you know what? My crimes were hard. Am I next?
Yeah.
My family members that have been naturalized, citizens that don't have no felony, no nothing. Are those next?
Mm-hmm.
Second generation's next? Third generation?
Yeah.
Are natives next? Well, can you give me some kind of input so I could be prepared in my mind? I've been wanting to do that, dog.
But do you really think that they will speak out and say?
I don't know. I think when we're there, Rose, I think when I'm there and I'm sincere, like, hey, bro, I'm nervous, homie. I'm serious, dog. I don't know what to expect next. My business is in jeopardy. My family. I don't want to be torn. I don't want my family to be torn. If I got to leave this country, let me at least leave some things that I work for, because there was a spice that goes 10 years and all I bring is this bag.
Wow.
I don't want to be like that
I know.
because I know the value of the dollar is going to be different when we go down there. So at least let me pack all my stuff and be ready to bounce. But if I know people are going to be saying, well, you could bounce now because you're Mexican. Shut your crap, homie. I'm born here, homie. Let's get that straight, homie. Just like you were born here, I'm born here. Your last name might be Smith or Redenbacher or whatever the case might be. I get that, homie. But to the nitty gritty, you guys didn't even belong here, homie. You know, this was our land. Oh, then we'll go back and forth. I already know it like it's been in social media.
It happens.
But I would like to be prepared, homie. You know?
Well, that would be good, to let everybody know now. But this other way, I wouldn't even think that they would speak upon it.
That's true, Ro. Sometimes
But
you
then,
make some.
you know what? We could go check it out and see if we can get an answer.
That's right.
That's true, Rose. That's it.
It all starts with the civil conversation. I believe that, man. I believe that all these people that are doing the violence and stuff, I think we can accomplish more if we really be sincere. If you knew that police can't do anything, you would already know that, hey, the battle's not against the police.
Yeah.
You would already said, hey, we want to go into the politics. That's why I'm always telling you guys, man, we got to look at the faucet. Where is this leading to?
Yeah.
Who approves all these laws? Our politicians, right? So we need to go up to the politicians and start asking, demanding.
Yeah.
These are the people that we vote for. These are the people that say they're for you, right? Homegrown or not homegrown, whatever they are. At the end of the day, you need to ask, hey, you're up there. You're my representative, right? The senator, that one, or that congressman, the one that represents you. Ask them questions. Hey, what are you doing? At the end of the day, what are you doing to make changes on the immigration law?
Yeah.
What are you doing? That should be our focal point. We're not moving here until we find a solution. If you're tired, if you're out there breaking windows, doing all this stuff, telling the ICE agent what they're gonna die for, bro, you should be demanding the same thing to the establishment or the politicians, the ones that could decide, can make law. So, guys, I think we're looking at things just very focal. We're just we're looking at this thing just what they want you to share. It's ICE.
Yeah.
So now here we are, all the raza, everybody, all the youngsters are out there bringing, bro, it's not even ICE.
Yeah.
It's the politicians. They're the ones who can vote. They're the ones who bring in laws, and they're the ones up there who are saying, I approve, I vote for that, I don't approve for it, I don't agree for it. These are the laws that are affecting us. Yeah. Think about it. The one that came close to really making a change and making a really good effort on making changes was Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
On immigration policy. You know what I mean? He was the only one that really got close. Other than that, it's all been about pointing fingers.
Yeah.
Them. It's the red. It's the blue. Yeah. It's the conservative. It's the progressives. It's enough. Yeah. Raza, we're all one people. Can we get that through our heads and let's just start focusing on what's really, truly important?
Hey, speaking of Junior and all that, I just read a comment on the YouTube. Who's the host? He's fine as F. Papi Chulo. No, Junior's not here, homie. You could look him up. He's in the county, fool.
Wait, no, is he in the county or is he in the feds?
He's in his...
He's in somebody's.
Yo, dispensa, Pete. I don't swing that way, but his name is Junior, dog. He goes, F the haters.
Golly. Yeah, man.
But no,
we're
that's
onto
true,
something.
dog. Hey,
we're onto something here, man.
I think all this is happening too, financially and everything, and maybe covering up for the Epstein files or whatever it's called. Though.
Could be.
What is it called? Epstein files?
The Jeffrey Epstein files. Yeah, it's you guys are hearing about it. They found out the guy actually.
And let me tell you guys something. This is a proven fact, homie. I've known people who does have done them in the cells, dog. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Our homeboy Güero. And you know what he used to do, Rose? He was known as the cop beater. Beat up all the juras, you know? Joker's dad from Jardín, same thing, you know? Pico Rivera substation, he committed suicide. He didn't commit suicide. You know, can that been possible with the files and all that? Yeah, it's done. It's happened before, dog.
Oh yeah.
You know, it sucks, homie, you know? But there's maybe a lot of millionaires on there and covering it up. Man, let that thing go, homie. Maybe they're scared. They're covering something up, but hey, you know, it is what it is, homie.
I always
you know?
say the government covering the government.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, if this guy really worked, there's a lot of creepy stuff with the Epstein files, man. I mean, a lot of stuff. I didn't want to go into that rabbit hole, but I always do understand that. Why are they fighting it so much to block it? It's because, again, there's top level politicians up there, man. And you got to cover the beast. I always say this, you got to cover the beast.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the beast is doing everything it can to stay covered. And let them do their thing, man. But at the same time, man, we need to stand firm. You know, anybody that deals with, you know, child pornography and things like that, bro, nah. Pedophiles, nah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not for it. We all need to speak against that, regardless what party you are. If
Yeah.
it was Orange Man or whoever it was, and that file, I'm not for that, man.
Yeah.
I'm not for that.
All right, pues, that concludes today's show. We went a little late, too late.
Yeah.
You all right? I know you're tired.
Yeah.
She rushed down here to
I'm
get to the
hungry.
show, bro.
I'm hungry.
The phone went off. The Facebook cut off. My battery died out. And these vatos are talking about immigration, ICE covered up.
Where did I join? Where did I join?
And
YouTube Yarda.
I would like to record that. I would like to record it. Do I qualify? You know? Why do you want to do that? I don't know, homie. It's just, you know, I need a new house. I need puro pedo. I just want to see how hard it is. I want to see some of the questions. You know what I mean? You know, who knows? If the vatos got pardoned and all that.
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. And let's give it up for Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
Home.
Woo!
She came back from her being lost out there and her vato in Reno, and he's out waiting for you. You know, I lost you.
Okay. Anyway, God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for joining in.
Yep. Thank
All right,
you.
Pues, she ends it. You end it. You got anything to say? That's it. Rose.
Until next week.
Next week.
Stay tuned.
Let's do it.
Hey, maybe we'll have one of the agents and bring them in here.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Yeah, fool, man.
We gotta go snatch one. Come on.
Hey, we missed you, Rose. Serio, we missed you
know.
when you weren't here. You know what I mean? It's good to have you here, man. You know?
Yep. It's good.
All right, pues.
Take care, everyone.